There are no shortage of absolute ghouls coming out of the woodwork over the last few days celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, the assassination, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. And as many right people have said, or right thinking and right minded people have said, you know, I may not have agreed with him, what he was about, what he said, what he was all about, but that should have never happened to him. That's wrong and that's completely unacceptable. Many people have come out with statements like that. Other ghouls have been actively celebrating this. And this one in particular, I'm going to play you a couple of little clips. She is talking about how she not only is happy following the death of Charlie Kirk, but she's actually actively celebrating it and would encourage other people to do the same thing. Now, this has backfired because she's been cancelled by a certain group of people and she's went to ground. Seems to be she's switched a lot of her social media accounts on to protected posts because of the backlash to this one. And before I go any further, and we'll delve a little bit into her history, which may give some inclination about why she feels such hatred and animosity and claims she's happy, although she's got those dead eyes. And of course, the big Rosie O'Donnell glasses. When you see Rosie O'Donnell glasses, you gotta be on your guard. And when you see those dead eyes, you gotta be on your guard. So for somebody that's so happy about something, she doesn't look particularly happy. But let's hear what she has to say and see what attracted such a backlash. She's an Irish author, apparently, and she's been getting a little bit of a bashing from some of her followers over what she said.
I'm not even going to explain this right now, but if you have any problem with me actively celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, and I don't mean just, oh, that's cool that happened. I mean actively, like, I want to throw a party right.
Look at the face on it. That's the face of her who's excited. That's the face of her when she's excited and actively celebrating something. Can you imagine what she'd be like if she was sad? Just the dead eyes. Said it's not enough to say that it's cool, but she's actively celebrating it.
Right now, if you have any ethical issue with me taking that position or feeling that way, you are following the wrong page. So unfollow, block me, and if you comment any crap on anything that I'm posting, which does and will celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk, you're just going to get blocked. So just do us all a favor and let the trash take itself out. Okay?
Let the trash take itself out, she says. Well, maybe those are prophetic words that will be spoken because the trash is in the process of being taken out in her case. And I'll be honest with you, I've said this before, anybody celebrating the assassination or killing of another human being, especially when they have a young family, for simply speaking their point of view, is a wicked, evil person. And it just so happens to turn out that she is, in fact, apparently, according to herself, a practicing witch. Yes, that may come as a surprise to some people, but not others. May come as a surprise. And I had a little look back over a page that is still up and running. This is her talking about getting barred and cancelled at a festival for practicing the dark arts in Castlebar, County Mayo. Can you believe it? And if it wasn't enough that she's upset many decent thinking people who don't celebrate the death of another human being, are you listening to me? Was your granny a Catholic? Yes, listener, was your granny a Catholic? Well, if your granny was a Catholic, she believes she was a witch, like her. Yes, I'm not making this one up. Let's hear what she has to say about getting banned and complained about by the parish priest in Castlebar and how your granny, yes, your granny was a witch. So let's hear again.
Complaint just before an event I was teaching recently, saying that I was teaching the dark arts from the stage in the Linen Hall in Castlebar in County Mayo. And this was part of a tour I was doing, talking about the history of Irish witchcraft.
I will say this, one of the benefits I would have imagined to her being a witch is that when she's touring Ireland, she can get around pretty cheaply. You know, the broomstick is a very eco-friendly way of traveling, and it enables her to hop from one place to another without even polluting the atmosphere. So that's something. Hard to believe she was touring around, peddling the dark arts, allegedly. Talking about witchcraft and feminism, of course, two things that go hand in hand, don't they? Or do they? You tell me in the comments section below.
And feminism. And honestly, this very, very Christian perspective, I think it was probably the local parish priest, to be perfectly honest, but this very Christian perspective has coloured a lot of people's view of the Morrigan, of witchcraft, of all of these things that were such a part, and still are such a part, of Irish culture and Irish traditions. For anybody who doesn't think that your granny was into witchcraft, did she ever light a candle for you in Mass?
So we're going to stop, and I want you, listener, to pause just for a second. Just pause for a second and think about your granny. If she was a Catholic, if your granny was a Catholic, did she ever go to Mass? Did she ever light a candle for you? You might have thought that was a Christian practice, but no, she was a witch. Maybe that's news to some of you. Well, how does it feel? Tell me how you feel with this revelation that your granny was a witch, practicing those arts in the chapel.
When you were doing your Leaving Cert exam, for example, and she might not have called herself a witch, but that is spell work. That's what that is.
So there you go, you know, not enough that she's celebrating, actively celebrating and happily, well, allegedly happily celebrating. You couldn't tell by looking at her that she was happy the death of Charlie Kirk, but also touring around the towns and villages, halls of Ireland, explaining her perspective, which is, of course, free to do, by the way. It's free to do. You may not agree with anything she says, but this is where she's coming from, to the degree that a site called Pagan Ireland has actually distanced themselves from her. So they've put a post up saying the new issue, their new issue of some publication, obviously, contains a favourable review of the new book by Laura O'Brien. That's the person in question. This person publicly calls for celebration and a party for the murder of a foreign US politician or political influencer. Pagan Ireland, the editor and staff, is apolitical and not aligned to anyone. However, we cannot condone murder or violence against anyone. Good. Like I said, any right-thinking individual would say the same thing, irrespective of who they are. And the same could be applied to this woman. I wouldn't relish if anything happened to her, even though I may not agree with anything she says and find her views and celebrations on the death of another person to be abhorrent. I wouldn't celebrate if anything untoward were to happen to her. However, we cannot condone anything against anyone, irrespective of sides. Pagan Ireland wishes to distance itself from this individual and her rhetoric. So it's just one of many of these videos that are being made where people are celebrating. And there's people in Dublin City Council as well. Apparently there's a Sinn Féin councillor and Dublin City Councillor has also put up laughing emojis around posts that have been put up around the death of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. People responding saying he deserved it, so on and so forth. You know what? Be careful what you say. Be careful what you say. I'm not threatening you, but I'm just saying these things have a way of coming around and biting you in the bum when you least expect it. So don't celebrate. Don't get into a state over this. You agree to disagree and you move on. That's what being an adult is about. Sane, rational thinking adult is about. But anyway, this woman, I don't wish her any ill will. I'm just covering this because this is doing the rounds this morning. Tell me what you think. Did she go too far? She obviously can say what she wants, but there are repercussions for that. Should there be repercussions? Should she not be allowed to celebrate if she wants to? I wouldn't celebrate, but then again, I'm not her and she's not me. So tell me what you think below. But importantly, tell me what you think about the fact that your granny might have been a witch. And maybe this is just you finding out about it today for the first time. There's always new revelations coming here on No Risk, No Reward Media. But anyway, cut and paste the link, drop it into your groups, leave a comment below, leave 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 comments below. And subscribe to the channel if you really feel like it. If you don't, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you watch, you comment, and you share. But for now, I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media. Over and out.